This is 7.3 practice day 1. We're using echelon form here, but just to start out with, number 2 gives us this matrix here, and we want to do 7 times R1. So 7 times negative 1 would be negative 7. 7 times 4, 28, and we don't do anything to row 2. This one here, we want to take negative 2 times row 1, negative 2 times row 1, and add it to row 2. Okay, so we're not doing anything here to these others, just to this row here. So negative 2 times 2 is negative 4, plus 4 is 0. Go to the next one. Negative 2 times 5 is negative 10, plus negative 1 is negative 11. Negative 2 times 1 is negative 2, plus 2 is 0. With number 6, we're going to take 4 times row 3 and add it to row 1. So 4 times negative 1 would be negative 4, plus 4 is 0. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 10 is 14. 4 times 0 is 0, plus negative 8 would be negative 8. And all the rest we have left alone. Okay, number 8, we are looking to just put this into an augmented matrix. So our matrix would be 3, 5, negative 13, 2, 3, and negative 9. And we usually put the little line down there to separate the variables from the constants. Okay, number 10 here, you have to be a little bit careful with the second line, because this is an x. We want to put that here with the, line that up with the x. And there's 0 y's there, and then negative 15. And there's your augmented matrix. Number 24, we want to solve this. So we got x and y, x and y. So we know that 0x plus y, okay, so y is equal to 3. We solve that. Now we can take that y and plug it in here. So we're going to know that x plus 4 times the y is equal to negative 2. It'd be 12. Subtract your 12 over, you get negative 14. You have your x and your y. For number 26, we know that z is equal to 2. We can take that and plug it in here. So we know that y minus 3 times the z is equal to 1. So it'd be negative 6. So adding the 6 over makes 7. And then step up farther yet, we know that x minus 2 times the y minus 1 times the z is equal to 0. So I know this is x minus 14 minus 2 equals 0, would be negative 16. Add it over, you get x equals 16. Number 28, we know that z is equal to negative 1. We know that y minus 4 times the z is equal to 2. So this would be 4. Subtract it over. It would be negative 2. Plug them into here. We know that x minus the y plus 2 times the z is going to equal 8. So this would be x plus 2 minus 2 equals 8. So it cancels out. You get x equals 8. Number 30, whenever we see that all the variables canceling out equal to a number, we know there is no solution. Number 32, we want to put this into echelon form and then solve it. So we got, let's write it as a matrix first. Okay, so remember we want 0 below it here. Okay, so I'm going to leave this the same, but I'm going to take this, I'm going to do negative 2 times r1 and add it to r2. So I'm not going to change the top one here. Okay, so negative 2 times this would be negative 2 plus 2 is 0. Next one, negative 2 times 2 is negative 4, plus 1 would be negative 3. and negative 2 times 5 is negative 10, minus 2 would be negative 12. Okay, so I have the 0 there, now I need the 1 here yet. So I'm just going to multiply this one by negative 1/3. So I'm not going to change the top. So negative 1/3 times 0 is still 0. Negative 1/3 times 3 is 1. Negative 1/3 times that would be 4. So in solving this then, I know that y is equal to 4. And plugging that back in up here, I know that x plus 2 times the y is equal to 5. So it'd be 8. Subtract the 8 over, I get x equals negative 3. For number 34, write it as a matrix. Okay, so I want this to be a 0 here. So I'm just going to take negative r1 and add it to r2. So I'm not going to change this up here right now. Yeah, actually I could get that to be a 1 first as well, multiply it by 1/3. Anyway, either way, it's fine. So if I take negative of this, negative r1, negative 3 plus 3 would be 0. Negative 2 would be 2, plus 1 makes 3. Negative 4, negative 2 makes negative 6. Okay, now I need these both to be 1, so I'm going to do these both at one time. I'm going to take 1/3 of row 1, and I'm going to take 1/3 of row 2. So two operations at the same time. So 1/3 of row 1 would be 1. 1/3 of this would be negative 2/3. 1/3 of this would be 4/3. 1/3 of 0 is still 0. 1/3 of 3 would be 1. 1/3 of negative 6 would be negative 2. Okay, now I have it in 0 and 1s. So now I know that y is equal to negative 2. I want to plug it back in here. I know that x minus 2/3 times the y is equal to 4/3. So this would be 4/3. If I subtract 4/3 over, I get x equals 0. Number 36, matrix 4, 1, 5, 2, 1, 3. Okay, I can either get that to be a 1 first, or I can get this to be a 0 first. Either way, it would be okay. There's a lot of different ways that you could go about doing this. So even if you're not doing it the way I'm doing it, it doesn't mean that you're wrong. Okay, it still can work to get the final answer correct. Alright, so I'm going to get this to be a 0 here, because I know it has to be a 0 eventually. So I'm going to, no, I'm not. I'm going to get this to be, okay, so I'm just going to do, I'm going to do 1/4 of R1. So 1/4 of this would be 1, 1/4 of this would be 1/4, 1/4 of that would be 5/4. Okay, next I'm going to try and get this to be a 0. So I'm going to take negative 2 of R1 and add it to R2. So negative 2 times 1 would be negative 2 plus 2 is 0. By the way, I did not change these. Negative 2 times 1/4 would be negative 2/4, would be negative 1/2. Plus 1 would be 1/2. And 5/4 times negative 2 would be negative 10/4. And negative 10/4 plus 3 gives us 1/2. Okay, next I want this to be a 1, so I'm going to multiply this by 2. So the top stays 1, 1/4, and 5/4. 2 times that is 1 and 1. So I know that when in solving this, I know that y equals 1 from this right here. And I know that x plus 1/4 times 1, my y, is equal to 5/4. 1/4, subtract 1/4 over, I get 1. So 36 should be the answer, 1, 1. Number 43, last one, but it is a 3 by 3, which is a little tougher. Make it a matrix first. Okay, so I'm going to get these to be zeros here. That's already a 1, so that's good. So for this here...
Yes, sir, Raj.
Okay, so this is a 1. I'm going to get these to be zeros. So here I'm going to take negative 2 times row 1, and I'm going to add it to row 2. Okay, because that'll make negative 2 and 2 be 0. And here, for this one to be 0, I'm just going to take negative r1 and add it to r3. Okay, so negative 2 times 1 is negative 2 plus 2 is 0. Negative 2 times 1 is negative 2 minus 1 would be negative 3. Negative 2 times negative 1, 2, plus 1 is 3. Negative 2 times 6 would be negative 12. Negative 12 minus 9. By the way, I did not change the top at all, or I am not. Okay, in the bottom here, negative of this, negative 1 plus 1 would be 0. Negative 1 plus negative 2 is negative 3. Negative 1 would make 1. Plus 3 is 4. And negative 6 plus 1 would be negative 5. Okay. Now let's try and get this to be a 1 right here. So I'm going to multiply this by negative 1/3. So I'm going to have the top the same. Multiplied by negative 1/3 would be 0. Negative 1/3 would be 1. Negative 1/3 would be negative 1. Negative 1/3 would be 7. Okay, so I have 1, 1. I need a 1 and a 0 here. So let's get the 0 here first. Okay, we go by columns first. So to get this to be 0, I'm going to take negative 3 times r2 and add it to r3. Okay, so 0 times negative 3 would be 0 plus 0 is still 0. Negative 3 times 1 would be negative 3 plus, sorry, I want that to be a positive 3. So I'm going to need that to be a positive there. So 3 plus negative 3 is 0. Negative 3 plus 4 would be 1. 21 plus negative 5, 16. Okay, so now I have it in echelon form. So now I can work this out. I know that my z is equal to 16. I know that y minus my z equals 7. So add that over. 23. And then I know my x plus my y minus my z is equal to 6. I get x equals negative 1.